Hey there, fellow streakers. How are you today? This is Jeffrey J. Downs. That's right. I'm your host today. Jamie is off for a little bit. She'll be back with us soon. I know I promised that on the last podcast, but this move has been one that has kind of rocked our world. There's quite a bit going on. And as we have gone about trying to get settled again, it's been a little bit crazy. So I apologize that we have not had the better voice on the podcast with us, but she will be back with us soon. She's got a lot of different insights that she's been gathering as we've been doing this move. And I just thought, you know what? I just want to have a real conversation with you. And that real conversation is this. I've thought a lot about what we do on the Streaking Podcast, and I'm just curious. As you have decided to listen to this and listen to it on a regular basis, is it something that lifts you up? Is it something that you look at and think, you know what, I look forward to hearing that? Or is it something that you're like, yeah, I'll tune in every once in a while? Or if you're not hearing my voice at all, or if you don't hear Jamie and I at all, then you haven't tuned in at all. So you don't even know I'm asking the question. For those of you who are streakers, the ones that are out there that have listened quite often and all the time, I'm curious as to why you keep listening. Would you mind shooting me an email? I'm just really thinking about it and thinking, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do the podcast so often. Maybe it's something we should do maybe once a month. Right now we do it. We've done it about two times a week. And on the 2 times a week, we've released it typically on Wednesday and also Saturday. We've been a little bit off the pace because of the move and everything that's been happening through the summer. But I'm just curious, is it something that you look forward to? And what do you look forward to? I'd love your feedback on this. And to, just at Jeffrey, Jefffery, at streakingmastery.com, or Jamie, Jami, at streakingmastery.com. What is it that you look forward to? Or said another question that I might ask and just get real with you on is there something else you'd like to hear? Is there some other way that we could do the podcast that would hold your interest more, or that would be more interesting to more people? Or is it just such a niche subject? Streaking is just such a niche subject, niche subject, that it's not something that's really going to be broadly out there. Even though, and I will say this, we love our listening audience. You're all over the world. There's thousands of people all over the world that listen to it. I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind just sharing with us, what are the insights you gather? What are the things that you think about? Is it worth it? We keep it pretty much consistent all the time. We're about 23 minutes. That's how much it is. Figuring where streaking is all about consistency. 23 minutes is how long we put it out there. I think the podcast helps give some insights. I know for me, the reason that I like to do it is because of the opportunity that it gives me to think through just some of the different methodology, and also to talk about application. Because application of the streaking methodology is really what gets me excited. The reason it does is because of what it's done for me in my life and how it's helped me to incrementally improve every single day. So if you wouldn't mind, that's where I wanted to start out. What is it that you want to see out of the show, or what is it that you get out of the show? Or you don't get anything at all. You're like, look, I happened on it. It was nice, and it was okay. I could take it or leave it. I'm okay with anything. Feedback is a gift. That's from one of my colleagues at Franklin Covey, Randy Illig. He always says feedback's a gift. It doesn't matter what the feedback is, whether it be positive or negative or just neutral. Whatever that feedback is, it's a gift. And if you wouldn't mind just taking just a little bit of time and shooting me an email on, here's what I love about it, or here's what I'd like to hear more of, or, I appreciate that you talk about streaking or the laws of streaking, but I'd like to hear more about application. Or maybe you'd like to hear more about application in the professional realm, or in the personal realm, or in the physical realm, or in the spiritual realm. What is it that you'd like to hear? We've had guests on before. Now, we don't have guests all the time, but we have guests some of the time. Has that been helpful? Do you like that? Now, I know this is a big ask because you've got a lot going on in your day, and most likely when you're listening to the podcast, you're listening to it while you're going about doing, probably on your streaking run, or maybe you're tooling around and have a little bit of idle time at work or at home. You're just listening it to there. If you wouldn't mind just shooting me just a quick email, Jeffrey, Jefffery, at streakingmastery.com, and letting me know any number of those things, even if it's just like, hey, good show, love listening to it, keep going. I'm great with that. I'm just curious as to where it's at. Okay, with that being said, let's get on to the subject at hand for today. As I mentioned, we've been in the process of the move, and you know that if you've been following along. We've been moving from Georgia to Colorado, and now we're getting situated and settled in Colorado, moving along with this. Doing our streaks in the midst of the move, in other words, during environmental change, has been quite exciting. There's many times where we've gone with the simple streak, nothing more than the simple streak. Write at least a sentence, read at least a paragraph. A couple others that come to mind are, everything slipped. Run at least a mile. Sorry, got hung up there. I was just looking for the streaks here. Any of those things, it's been the simple streak, and that has been what we've been doing. And we've talked a lot about this in the past where, well, is it really worth it? I mean, if you're just doing the simple streak, does it make sense? And we've talked about the flywheel and how to keep the flywheel going, it takes small pushes, little things. But boy, to get that flywheel going, it's very difficult. And so to let it go would be not so good. What we have, as I bring all this up and talk about, streaking while moving or streaking when your environment changes, I'm curious has your environment changed recently, and how have streaks helped you? How have they helped you along the path or to continue toward that place of personal improvement? How have they helped you in a way that maybe you didn't think? Maybe there was an ancillary benefit that you got. And this is kind of my podcast, my plea to get some feedback from you and to get some information. One of the things that we're going to be working on, or not that we're going to be working on, that we have been working on, is the whole community aspect of streaking. The other day, we were in a conversation with one of our streakers, Danny, and asked the question, what was it that kept you streaking when, for example, you had doubts or concerns, or you didn't really think that it would be helping that much? And what he said was interesting. He said it was the community that kept me going. Because he was able to see other people that were doing it, he thought, you know what? I'm going to keep doing it. So he did. Now, that may be simplistic, but the community is a really cool aspect. Speaking of the community, we've got a lot of people out there that are closet streakers. Those ones that don't mention that they have a streak until it's been long enough. And I think that one of the reasons why we don't mention that we have a streak until it's long enough is because it's so laughably simple. We're like, oh boy, I don't know if I want to share this. It's a little embarrassing about how simple this is. Well, in actuality, once it gets past a certain number of days, 100, 200, 300, that's when you start to share it. And you start to talk about, hey, I have a streak. And here's what the streak is. So speaking of closet streakers, there are also those who have not read the streaking book or know the laws of streaking, who are on a streak. Now, I'm looking for those folks too. If you have any information on the whereabouts of closet streakers, please report them to Jeffrey, Jeffery, at streakingmastery.com. We'd like to know about those closet streakers. Here's one in particular. So I got an email from one of our streakers, Katie, and she sent this through. She said, apparently, this person, her name is Heather Cox Richardson, is a big deal American historian. And she writes a letter to America every day. Does that not sound like a streak? A letter to America every day. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, Jeff, that's certainly not laughably simple. Well, it depends. Laughably simple is really up to you. It depends on what you feel it is. And this Heather Cox Richardson, and some of you may have heard of her before, she has, 1,462,389 followers. So there's quite a few people that follow her and her letters that she writes to America every day. She's a closet streaker. Do you know any other closet streakers? Anyone else out there that we could highlight? As you start to see them, send them our way. Because what we want to do is continue to build this community. That's one of the things that I started out talking about moving. One of the things that has really helped in the sense of to continue the streaks and keep them alive is having the community. I mean, Jamie and I having the streaking community with ourselves and also with others, that has really kept it alive. One other thing that has been really helpful and very useful, and I'm going to plug it again, and I know you're probably like, well, Jeff, we're not going to get it until December, but you're really going to talk about the app? Yes, I am going to talk about the app. And the reason I'm going to talk about the app is because the community in the app is really, really cool. When you get the new version of the app, when it comes out and when it gets updated, one of the things that you're going to see right away is the opportunity to post. When I say post, you're going to be able to post on any one of your streaks. Now, this is different than any other social media app. The reason it's different, and we've had a lot of conversation about this, and I'd be interested in getting your feedback on this. As we set up the app, we started to talk about, should it be a friend model or a follow model? Now, what does that mean? Well, a friend model is where you put a friend request out to someone and they respond by saying, yes, I'll be your friend. Now, what does that do? That allows them to see your pictures, photographs, posts, what it is you put out there, and you are able to see their photographs, pictures, posts, whatever those may be. Make sense? The friend model. There's another model called the follow model, where basically, say for example, our Chief Marketing Officer, Talon, you want to follow what it is that he's doing. You can do that without him necessarily saying, yeah, you can follow me. Now, there are going to be those private situations where you will be able to approve who or who can follow you or not. However, the follow model is what we decided that we would go with. But here is the difference. You're not following people, right? Just take that in for just a second. You may be saying to yourself, well, Jeff, if we're not following people, who are we going to be following? You follow streaks. You see, the laws of streaking are set up in such a way that it's about the streak. For example, make it laughably simple. What is that about? It's about the streak. If I look at my streaks and I'm looking at what it is that's laughably simple, and let's just say I go under my healthy and strong B statement. I want to be healthy and strong, or I want to be physically fit. Record all daily calories consumed. Now, that may sound a little bit difficult for some people, but remember, the streak, the simplicity of the streak, the laughably simple part is up to you. Recording all daily calories for me has not been a problem because I use MyFitnessPal and I get into it and I record all the calories because I just want to keep track of where it is in the process of, physical fitness in regards to intake of food. Or floss at least 2 times daily. Okay, the OG streak. All of these, as you look at them, they are the streak, the laughably simple thing. So that's law number 1. Law number 2 is keep a record, which is what I do right here inside the app. And the app, first and foremost, was primarily there to keep a record. And the great part about it is that record is kept at our central servers so that at no time do you ever lose, if you will, the record of the streak. Now, you may break the streak or the streak may end because of one reason or another. However, if you're using the streaking app, what's happening there is it's being synced up to the servers and can be synced across your devices. So that's the second law. The third law, create a community. Now, the world of technology is the thing that allows us to create that community. The community is all about the celebration of the streak. Now, many of you who are streakers out there and have been doing it for quite some time know that celebrating the streak is such a rush. When you celebrate someone else's streak or when they celebrate yours, when you've hit 150 days or you've hit 300 days, that is a rush and you celebrate it together. The part that's been missing, all right, in this whole thing in the community has been people being able to post information about their streak. Now, I started this whole conversation. I haven't lost my place yet. I'm sorry. I took a little bit of a road down the laws because where the laws focused around, it's where the laws are focused around are around the streak. When you get on the app, you're following a streak. Do you see the difference there? You're not necessarily following the person. Now, of course, a streak is attached to a person because the person is doing the streak. So we may be straining at gnats here just a little bit, but it is a fundamentally different thing. You can follow a streak. So for example, if you wanted to follow my streak of run or walk at least 1 mile 6 days weekly, you would follow that. Now, in turn, you would be following me in some sense or another, but you can choose to follow just that streak. The other thing that this does is when you're following the streak and not a person, then you can start to follow the community of streaks. streaks form into a community, and all those streaks are attached to people. And that community of streaks, so say, for example, I wanted to follow the community of streaks of writers, and let's call it nonfiction writers. I wanted to follow the streak of nonfiction self-help writers. When you put your streak into the streaking app, now this isn't right now, but later on when you get it in December and it's been upgraded, what you will do is choose whether or not you want to share that streak publicly. And if you want to share that streak publicly, you'll mark it as such, and then you will choose to what community that streak belongs. Isn't that a little bit different way of looking at it? Here's the thing that I found with it. It's cool. It is so awesome. We've been testing it just amongst the streakers that we have inside the organization. And I'm telling you right now, I have never been so inspired by posts as I am when I look at the streaking app and see what people are looking at. So for example, and Talon won't mind me sharing this with you. He posted just yesterday. He said, and here's the cool part. When the post comes up, it's the streak. Read at least one paragraph from a nonfiction book daily. And he's been at this for 324 days in a row. Every single day for 324 days, he's read at least one paragraph in a nonfiction book. And here's his post. Finished another book tonight. Any recommendations for my next read? Instantly, there were a couple of people immediately responded to him. Hey, I've been enjoying Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Mindset is good. And just had a couple of those right away. Not ever have I found a app or a social network that allows you to go to a specific place that you're trying to improve and get immediate feedback on that place. Now, maybe you have, and if you have, sure, let me know. But the community now starts to support what it is that particular person is trying to do. Here's what was this other one that I was looking at? Let's see here. Oh, this is a great one. Another one from Talon. And his streak here, invest in the stock market at least once monthly. Now, isn't that an interesting streak? And he's been at this for 8 months. And he says this, I started this streak 8 months ago and combined with my streak to learn at least one thing about investing daily. As of today, I now have over, and he gives a sum of gains. If I didn't have this streak, I wouldn't be consistent in investing. Now, we can start to ask him questions about what are some of the things that it is that he studied. How did he how did he go about doing those things? As I continue down here, I just absolutely look forward to reading what some of these particular streaks are all about, and how people have improved in different ways. That's what I believe the streaking community is about, and that's what the app is going to do. When I look at it, I just want to encourage all of you that you start your streaks, start going on them, make them laughably simple, keep a record of them, download the app, keep the record, encourage your friends to download the app and keep the record. By the way the app is set up currently, it is a friend model where you can ask for friends that are out there. And we've got many, many thousands of users on the app right now. When we go to this next amped up level of community, I think you're going to find just a whole new world of opportunity on what to do to continue to improve. And the neat part is that it's all about the streaks. You're following particular streaks. You can follow communities of streaks. All of those things are going to be available in the app. And that's, as I look at just technology in general, I've always been jazzed about technology. It's always something that I've had in my life, and I've always been looking forward to the next thing, whatever that might be. What I'm jazzed about with this is it's finally one of those areas where I look at and I'm going to be productive in my social media use because it's connected directly to who I want to be. Rather than, hopping on Instagram. And by the way, not saying that, it's not saying it's bad. Every once in a while I get caught in the Instagram loop and, I'll realize that 20 minutes has gone by and I don't even know what I did with my life. Anytime I spend that time inside the streaking app and just reading through some of the posts, I get inspired. That's really what I want it to be. And that's what we have been working for it to be, as far as the app is concerned, is really creating this community. So getting to where we started as far as changing environments And when you are looking at making a major change in your life, and that could be a job change, or maybe there was something that was tragic in your family or happy in your family, that were big events, know this, that streaking is something that will always be there for you to point you to where you want to be. And that as you create the community around it to build up that group of streakers, that is something that will stick with you and they will celebrate with you as you go along. All right. One more plea. Podcast. Is it something that you want to hear more of, that you want to hear less of, that you want to hear differently? Just drop me a note if you wouldn't mind. If you wouldn't mind just taking just a little bit of time at Jeffrey, Jefffery. And you got to get that ERY in there. I know it was spelled a little bit differently. Here's a fun fact for you. When I was born, my mother wanted to name me Jeffrey, Jeffrey. And when my father, at least this is the folklore that I've heard, but when my father put it on the birth certificate, he spelled it Jeffery. And I've been fighting that battle for all of my life. It is Jeffery at streakingmastery.com. Or if you'd rather, call out to Jamie and say, hey, Jamie, we miss you on the show. She would love to hear that. If you are looking, she would love to hear what you've been experiencing. If you wouldn't mind, in fact, if you wouldn't mind doing me just a little favor and letting her know how much you miss having her on the show. Not that she doesn't want to come out here. It's just that, we've had a lot of stuff going on. Send her a little note and say, hey, Jamie, miss having you on the show. Love hearing your voice. If you wouldn't mind doing that for me, I would appreciate it. And her email address is Jamie, Jami, at streakingmastery.com. Well, that's about all I have for today's show. Thanks so much for, I guess putting up with a little bit of a personal plea and for really investing in the whole streaking methodology. We believe that is something that is absolutely going to have a massive impact on anyone who tries it. And really, we want to spread that goodness to everyone. And to spread that goodness to everyone, I would just ask you to pass it on. Let others know all about the streaking methodology and what it's done for you. Share with them your streaks. Tell them what it's done to build you up and to help you out. Help you out in times of change or in times of sorrow or in times of happiness, or, you've reached a particularly fantastic goal and the next day you kept right on going. That's really what streaking is all about. It's the keep it small and simple, the KISS theory. Keep it that way and you'll always have a floor on which to stand to reach for the stars. Thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully you have a great streaking day. And until we talk next time, keep streaking.
But I can show you a simpler way. It's the small and simple things that make the life we live worth living. Among the rush, do one push up, become a better you. It's the small and simple things that make you grow into what you're hoping. You're in a hurry.